Hi everyone, my name is Anelise. Welcome back to my channel. I have had an insane week. Just to recap, this time last week I was camping, had a great time, got way too much sun, had a couple beers, and I got home and was completely exhausted. Just like aches and chills and so tired just from like being out in the elements, being dehydrated up at altitude, all the things. Flash forward a few days, I got a gnarly stomach bug. Could not keep any food down. It was miserable. Mind you, this is the exact same day that I had committed to paying a trip to my brother. He lives 3 hours away, to take pictures for him and his girlfriend because he was proposing. That was absolutely a commitment I could not break, so we powered through. The engagement went amazing. The photos turned out great. We enjoyed a late dinner, and then my husband and I, drove 3 hours back home, didn't get home until midnight. So the next day I was again completely wiped, completely just like not even here, barely here at all. So slowly but surely I have been recovering. We're a few days out. I'm feeling much better, still not 100%. Definitely been pounding the Gatorade. But I say all of this because while I was in that state, there really wasn't much I could do these past several days. So I have been spending a lot of time on my phone, way more than I would like to admit. So today I thought it would be perfect, salient, relevant to talk about my tried and true strategies for getting off my phone, for avoiding the brain rot, for avoiding the doom scrolling, so that I can actually get out and live my best life. Doom scrolling and the brain rot is a problem that basically everyone contends with in this modern era. It's literally just everywhere. If you're going on your phone, if you're going online, you're going to be confronted with some form of short form content that is specifically designed to be addictive on an endless feed to keep you scrolling for hours. That is simply a part of everybody's reality, and especially for me as someone who posts online regularly, that's not going anywhere. So over the years, I have definitely found some strategies, and more so just like a mindset shift that has allowed me to spend less time doom scrolling and spend more time living my actual life. And the main thing that I've done is to cultivate as many non-negotiables and commitments in my life as possible. So examples would be like working out, getting outside, having a hygiene routine that I am completely committed to. Those are just small examples, right? Like the really baseline parts of taking care of yourself. But the more of those things that you have, the less time you have to spend on your phone, the less you'll even think about picking it up. So like I said, physical hygiene is a huge one, and I lump working out in with things like, showering and haircuts and trimming my nails, all of those different things. That's all hygiene to me, but I do as much of that as I possibly can. I try to get moving every day. I try to get outside every day, and I usually go to the gym about once a week. Beyond that though, I also have other commitments that I have made and that I hold myself to, not the least of which is this YouTube channel or any of the content that I post online. I have committed to posting one YouTube video every week starting at the beginning of this year, and I've also committed to posting short form content every single day. Now, this may seem counterintuitive, but I've actually found that by posting online, it has totally shifted my mindset when it comes to how I approach the apps and just the online space, because I'm no longer approaching it from a mindless consumer mindset. I'm thinking about how I can share my own perspective and put myself out there, and that has turned the content into a creative outlet instead of like a mindless consumption. And I find that the more that I post, the less I'm actually spending time on consuming content on the internet. So, posting something short form doesn't really take that long, but like with these YouTube videos, it takes me an hour or so to film it. It takes me probably a couple hours to plan it before I film it to figure out exactly what I'm going to talk about. And then it takes me a couple hours as well to edit it and to upload it. So that right there is a commitment that takes time out of my week every single week. It's something that I'm doing that is not just consuming and rotting my mind. Beyond that, I also try to read and write regularly. Reading is interesting, and I think it could be its own conversation because there can be a hyper consumer aspect to reading. I know people who read 100 plus, 200 plus books every year, and in my mind that is a little bit excessive, and that gets into the territory of mindless consumption. At the same time, is it better than scrolling on social media? Arguably, yes. So I definitely try to always have a book that I am reading and to spend time reading every single week, if not every day. Then also, I like to try to write as well. So this includes both journaling and then also actual, like, more formal writing. So I write essays on Substack from time to time, and then I also have book ideas that I work on. This is a passion that is particular to me. If you don't like writing, I'm not suggesting that you should spend your time writing, but it's something that I have always loved and been very passionate about. So for me, making that commitment to spend time doing this thing that I love and that I have big dreams and goals related to, that is a really great way for me to orient myself toward the things that I want to be doing and the life that I want to be living, rather than just sitting and rotting on my phone. So the last main category of non-negotiable that I have cultivated for myself that has helped me to turn away from the doom scrolling so much is to put myself in an environment consistently, to have a commitment to be in an environment consistently where being on your phone is prohibited or just considered taboo. Now, I will say, I think there are very few spaces in the world where this is actually the case. For me, I have found that space at church. There are many reasons that I go to church. I have other videos on my channel discussing that. But one amazing benefit of going to church and having that weekly commitment is that church is a place where it is absolutely inappropriate for me to even think about touching my phone. Most of the time, I don't even bring it into the building with me. It helps that the kind of church that I go to is an inherently more formal church. I go to an Eastern Orthodox church. There's a very high ceremonial and ritual aspect to it, to where it is just not casual. There is absolutely no place for pulling out your phone. Of course, emergencies happen, caveat, but by and large, that is the one place where it's like, absolutely not. I would never dream of pulling up my phone. So having that place that I go to week after week, often multiple times a week, is so amazing to just have that reprieve, to have that opportunity to be in an environment where I can be absolutely certain there is no brain rot going on, there is no doom scrolling going on, there is no technology. Honestly, it is just people living in the moment. Like that meme says, not a cell phone in sight, just people living in the moment. So if you're not a religious person, I'm sure you can find other places that have similar formality where it would be considered not appropriate whatsoever to be pulling out and scrolling on your cell phone. But you can even set those standards for yourself of like, when I'm doing such and such an activity, I am considering it inappropriate to pull out my cell phone, and then hold that standard for yourself. It can be hard to have the self-discipline to just do that of your own volition, so having an environment like that where the no phone policy is sort of enforced across the board, and having like this social pressure, if you will, can be extremely helpful. And my other main strategy for avoiding the doom scrolling and the brain rotting and the going nowhere in life has been to establish goals for myself. Now, when I say this, I'm not just saying like, I have this fanciful dream to, be a New York Times best-selling author or win a Pulitzer Prize or whatever that dream might be, and that's my dream and that's it. No, I have set 5 specific goals for myself. If you want to hear about those, they could probably warrant their own video. Let me know if you're interested in that. But I have 5 specific goals that I have set for myself, and I have a planner in which every single week I review in a very, it's a very brief, it's a 1-pager, basically reviewing my wins and achievements for the week and my priorities for the next week, keeping those goals in mind. I also have a monthly, quarterly, and yearly review that goes much more into depth. It goes much more into depth, reflecting on the steps I am taking toward every single one of those 5 goals, as well as assessing how I am doing in every sector of my life. So financial, spiritual, the marriage space, the home space, friendships, hobbies, all the things. I go through all the things and I reflect on them, and it's in this way that I've actually been able to be consistent taking action toward my goals, because I'm always coming back and thinking about them. I remember especially like when I was, 19, 20, doing the whole like new agey yoga teacher, like spiritual thing, manifestation thing. Every so often I would like sit down and have this amazing journaling session where I like figured out the secrets to life, and I felt like I understood my exact purpose and my goals and what I wanted to do and where I wanted to go. And then I would close that journal, never refer back to it, and it would totally get lost to the winds of time. A huge part of that was just trial and error, because I didn't know what I wanted. So anything that I was kind of coming up with in that stage wasn't really sticking, because it wasn't really resonating, because it wasn't actually for me. But as time has gone on and I've experienced more life and I've gotten to know myself better, I've been able to set goals that actually really do it for me, that like really light me up inside and that I have passion for. The main factor that has allowed me to do this has been to think about goals that I love, like accomplishments or directions, paths my life could take that I genuinely love, that would excite me so much, instead of like what I think is cool, or like what is the best way to make money, or like what is the optimal life path. What is the life path that I really want for myself and, for my family and kids and all of that. But thinking about that and taking that wider lens and orienting it towards joy and love and genuine like thrill and zest for life has allowed me to take way more action toward my goals than anything I was doing before, because my heart's actually in it. And that's the thing about like goals, and especially big long-term goals, is that it's going to take way longer than you want. So the only chance you have at being successful in attaining any of these goals is genuinely loving the process and loving what it is you are doing. Because if you don't love it, you're not going to be able to keep going when the results aren't hitting. You know what I mean? Like this YouTube channel, I love making YouTube videos. I love editing them. I love yapping on camera. I find it so fun. And I have to love it in order to keep doing it, because like there's nothing happening on the other side, you know what I mean? There's no like worldly gain that I'm getting from it at this point. That could definitely come, but it's only going to come if I'm able to stick to doing this for long enough, and I'm only going to be able to stick it out that long if I actually love the process. So there was a long time where I was trying to do what I thought I should be doing instead of what is truly like my purpose on this earth, if that makes sense. Do things for the approval of others, do things for, just to feel like I fit in somewhere, whether that's in my family or in a certain friend group or a certain, group of people online or in the world, whatever it is. And that feeling of needing to fit in, I also find like contributes to just sitting on my phone and doing nothing, because that's the only like safe option, if you will. If I, try to put myself out there in this environment that is just literally not for me whatsoever, it doesn't feel authentic. I feel like a total fraud. And then I'm also not willing to like accept the things that I actually want for my life, so I don't take any action toward them. So all you can do is scroll at that point. So finding goals that you actually want to work toward, that you would be happy to spend your whole life working on without seeing any return, is so huge. And then coming back to those goals time and time again. So like the planner that I have is huge, but it's not just having a planner, it's having a planner that specifically details on a weekly, monthly, quarterly, yearly basis. This is how I'm doing on the goals. This is how the progress I've made, this is also an assessment of how I'm doing in every area of my life, financially, spiritually, in my marriage, in my friendships, and in my hobbies, all the things. And I find that doing this, repeating this process over and over, has allowed me to orient myself toward my goals more and more as time goes on, because even if they're not consciously at the front of my mind in every moment of every day, and like, yes, I definitely spend more time on my phone than I want to sometimes, even still, but the more that I orient towards those goals and that purpose and the values that I hold for my life, every single time that I return to it, it is like carving that neural pathway a little deeper. It is orienting me a little firmer in that direction. And the more that I put into the goals that I have, the more joy I get out, because I love what it is I'm doing and I love what I'm pursuing. So I get more joy, so I put more time in, and on and on. And then all of a sudden, that is time that I maybe would have spent doom scrolling, consuming mindless content, that now has been put towards purpose and a beautiful vision for my life. So it's definitely not perfect. Like I said, I still find myself doom scrolling more often than I would like. And I do still find myself in those situations of consuming mindless content, but it's getting better and it is on an upward trajectory, because of all of these changes that I've implemented in my life and being consistent in them. I guess my main philosophy about it is that I can't really subtract the doom scrolling, because that just leaves kind of an empty space, if that makes sense. So I try to focus more on implementing more good things and focusing on more good things, more things that I want to do, spending my time in more meaningful, purposeful ways. And the doom scrolling and the brain rot just kind of naturally falls away. Again, this is an imperfect practice, but it's one that I have found I'm able to fully commit to and recommit to time and time again, because I genuinely love the journey, I love the practice, I love where I'm going, and the more that I do it, the more that I want to do it. So with that being said, I know this one was kind of a short one, but that's really all I have for you today. I hope you found this video helpful. Thank you so much for being here and listening to my story. I really greatly appreciate it. And if y'all don't mind, I'm gonna go take my own advice and stay off my phone for the rest of the day, do things that bring me joy and fill my life with purpose and meaning. All right, I'll see you in the next one. Bye.